What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Panthers Nation Network. Of course, I am joined with Shantice and JB out on satellite. And guys, got another week of the off season. Not a whole lot to talk about, but honestly, I'm kind of fine with that.
I am too, man. I'm glad that we all seem to be settled in what this team is going to be. You know what I'm saying? We've all kind of gotten some realistic expectations for what to expect come for the start of the season. And I think we're in a good space right now. We're in much better headspace than we were in last year, I feel like,
For sure.
Yeah. I would say the cohesiveness of what I'm reading and what I've been hearing about going on from locker room to meetings, just hearing the other players come out and talk about Bryce's maturation and how he's really, really getting, in touch and getting in line with the guys. So, yeah, I'm feeling real confident, and I'm really loving Canales' energy. Every interview that I've seen, every podcast that I've heard him on, he seems to be a well put together individual. Now let's see if that transcends on the field.
Yeah, he definitely comes with a kind of energy. It's very, I don't want to say youth passion. That's not the right vibe, but it is kind of like the way that he comes about it. He's very energetic, very in your face, and I think that's finally what the team kind of needs. And it was interesting seeing how it's going to work in kind of Tepper's field of space, because that didn't seem like the kind of guy that Tepper really wanted. I feel like he was more looking for the low-key kind of individual, but I'm glad that it's a guy like Canales in there as long as it pans out on the field.
Absolutely. It feels like Canales is much more of a teacher. You know what I'm saying? He's very intricate in how he wants to teach his quarterbacks, the details and the why. I think that's been a big thing he's been talking about is the why. Why are we doing certain things? This is why. This is how it translates onto the field. And I think when you see the improvements he made for Baker Mayfield, you see the improvements he made for Geno Smith, two guys who were on the brink of being, career backup guys. That's the track they were on. Now both of these guys have, revitalized their careers. Geno Smith got another chance at being a starter. Baker Mayfield got another chance at being a starter. And you've seen them both make the playoffs and have successful playoff runs and all throughout that time. So it's only to be expected that Bryce is going to make a leap. It's a matter of how big of a leap can we make, and did we do enough as far as the surrounding pieces to make that leap a little bit more easier.
I mean, and surrounding pieces aside, look at him in some of the pictures we've seen coming out of it. Looks like he's been hitting the weight room hard. If you look at his physique compared to last year, at least especially in the upper body as well,
yeah,
he looks like he's definitely put on some muscle, which Lord knows he could use some more of. He wasn't necessarily fighting for not having it, but it's not going to hurt him in any sense of the matter. So I think, although when you talk about the surrounding pieces, I think that's where it's going to get really interesting, just to see how all these different weapons per se kind of line up. I'm interested to see what the formations are going to look like and what the lineups are going to be like as we get deeper into OTAs and minicamp.
Yeah. I think you're going to have to definitely get to the OTA aspect and then go into training camp. I think. If you can look at how we drafted and how we tried to make those investments, like you all were saying in free agency, I think, the offensive line, we definitely have shored it up way better than we've been in years. You talk about the running back room, it's a little crowded, so I would be looking for somebody to get dropped and cut out of that room and see who that may be. We got Black Sheeran and Sharp Penny. Those are the two that I would see maybe kind of vying for roles. Outside of, Jonathan Brooks, of course, he's going to be a mainstay, I'm pretty sure. Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard are definitely going to probably end up being three. This is just me from the outside looking in, based on what I know. And then from a tight end perspective, I'm loving the kid out of Texas. He seems to be sure hands, seems to be quick. He's a bigger body than I expected as well. I think he's going to bode well to offset that Tommy Tremble versus the Ian Thomas role. He's going to fulfill that role much more. Number one role is what I'm looking for, and the cast is getting better. I think we're all concerned on the other side of the ball, and I think that's where I'm finding a lot of the kind of gray area, if you will. With that is the defense. The defensive line. We got some issues there. We're going to have to figure it out.
And that's been my biggest thing as well. Is I can't. That's why I can't go full fan mode just yet on this team. I'm excited to see what we'll be, but again, when you got guys that have been habitually these in-betweeners that have they're rotational pass rush guys. DJ Wanham isn't a bona fide star pass rusher. Jadeveon Clowney has been a rotational guy. But he's very serviceable in different aspects of the game, aside from just getting sacks. But we know the name of the game for us is the reason why we brought you here is to be able to match that production you gave to Baltimore last year. But that traditionally isn't what it is. So we're kind of banking on guys to play above and beyond where they've been traditionally in their careers. Kind of it's kind of signs for some disappointment if I had to guess. But we should try to be optimistic at this point in time of the season.
Yeah, I think that you can't, know fully how it's going to work out, obviously, until we get like actual playing time in and some actual, field time in. But I do think there is reason for concern when you look at a lot of those pieces, especially on defense, where, just from the sheer, looking at, the Brian Burns situation, we still don't know, the details surrounding Marquise Haynes, how he's doing in his recovery process. If I'm not mistaken, I think his contract was also up, and I don't even think I've heard high or tail of, re-signing him or anything like that, what that would look like. I think there's still a crazy amount of free agents out there that I wasn't expecting guys to still be available, that I don't know if I necessarily want to, keep going to the free agent wheel for the defense, because, free agency always has its stigmas surrounding it. But I think that and especially like we talked about just day in and day out, like the way that we went and attacked the draft from the defensive side of the ball was just not nearly as aggressive. And you can't, you can only do one side really aggressively. Like if you're going to go like balls to the wall, for lack of better words, you're going to miss some, you're going to miss some steps on defense. It's just inevitable. I hope that they didn't miss it too hard, but I don't know. You really are banking on, especially with Avero's history of the guys that he's put his hat, on and have not panned out, where it definitely speaks more to right. It's not going to pan out, and we're going to be right back here in another year or so looking for these same kind of positions.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it as a glass half full, right? This time last year, we had a brand new coach, we had a brand new quarterback. We were getting ready to get. And our defense was solidified, right? Going to the season was atrocious. Coaching was atrocious. Defense played subpar. Offense played absolutely abominable. And now we're doing this all over again. And so I say all that to say that defensive side of the ball went through major changes. It's a whole new makeup over there. I'm hoping Shaq Thompson, Shaq is going to have to be the voice. And what is he going to provide as far as that clarity? Derek Brown is going to have to be a voice. What is he going to be like? And to be quite honest, J.C. Horn is going to have to be a voice, right? So those are the three that I'm going to be looking at, because they are as you would call them, the long timers, the vets on our squad that have been through the hell that we've had. We're going to need them to actually solidify what that's going to look like. I'm not taking it to the coaching level, because I think Edgerro is going to be okay, right? I think he's going to put together a scheme that is going to fit this defense, that are going to put them in the positions to be successful. The question becomes now is the execution. And that execution piece is going to have to start with the three names that I just named, to being those voices. You've got Chazon, who may or may not last through training camp. We're not too sure. What about Crumedy? Are you thinking Crumedy's going to be there? We drafted him, but nobody was high on him when we drafted him, right? So you've got these other people that are coming in that need to either A, prove themselves because they've been a vet. This is their stop to try to get that next contract, or B, we drafted them and they're work in progress. And if you're already being drafted with these I'm not going to say red flags, with these things that need to be worked on, right? These technical skills that need to be worked on, you will get hit on the practice squad. I don't think that we're going to have a whole lot of time or a whole lot of patience in ways we have in the past, where we would just say, oh, this is our guy, we're going to train him up. I think Dan Morgan and Dave Canales, in their mind, have a 3-year window. They're looking to be solidified in what the Panther football will look like this year, going into year 2 and year 3 of this whole regime, looking at not only making it in the playoffs, but going deep in the playoffs, right? That's my thought process, because when you listen to Canales talk, it is really about being positive, looking at the possibilities, and using every negative connotation that we get. He's using it as fuel for this team to be better. So you talk about us not having any primetime games. That's what everybody wants to talk about. First thing out of his mouth. You got to earn it. So
which I love.
Rice is awesome. Echoing it, right? So for me, that's where I'm at with it. To your point, Shantice, I'm not jumping out the window like we were last year. We were gung ho. We were like, look, it's a brand new thing. I'm not jumping out the window anymore, right? I'm taking it day by day, step by step. I'm in my 12-step program, like Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Like, this is my
Hey,
first one,
look,
right? It's
I'm gonna tell you
acceptance,
right
right?
now.
Accepting
And you know
where
what the
we
second
are.
step for me would be? Sign Stephon Gilmore. Let's get him home.
Look at it. Like, stop flirting with the guy. Get it done. Seriously, because, I mean, and you talked about it, and JB, the three long-timers on our defense is one of them hasn't played a complete season in the time frame that he's been here.
Sure.
And so to have him and that be it, and look, I'm not giving Dane Jackson any grace. I mean, we know what that was. That was a Dan Morgan pickup. That's bringing you over from the last regime, which that has worked in some capacity in certain ways. It's not unheard of.
Not mad about it.
And then for Chad Smith-Wade, he was the main defender that I was at least like, all right, I'm okay with that. Like,
He seemed to have the most upside.
Yeah.
In terms of what we took in the draft.
it was the least. It made me scratch my head the least.
Right, because I mean, when you take Trevin Wallace, there were other guys there available that were like, okay, I mean, not my choice.
Yeah. Not my second choice, not my third choice,
You know what I'm
and
saying? And I mean, these guys do somehow get a hold of this stuff. I'm not saying that Trevor Wallace can't be a great player. It was just, I just gonna be honest with you, bro. I ain't watch a whole lot of Kentucky football. Don't know too much about your game.
when we did watch Kentucky football, our first round draft pick was mossing you guys to win the game for us. So, I mean, thank God. I mean, the fact that we had to be in that position anyhow, but regardless, look, I mean, yeah, that's what, I don't say that's what players need to realize, but that's what I hope players understand is that there's no disdain that comes from these comments. It's just concern for the product that we have also invested in. It's like you've invested your entire life in yourself, not necessarily in the team.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And the best case scenario is that it does pan out, and you are our next Shaq Thompson, John Beeson, Thomas Davis, what have you. But you're not going to get that expectation until you prove that you deserve it. You're not going to get that grace until you give it to us.
Right.
So, I hope that, because, being in the locker room and, hearing the perspective of the players, I hope it's not lost on them that it's not coming from a place of hoping that you fail. No one wants their draft picks to fail. No one wants the moves that they make to fail, but not every one of them is going to be a knockout of the park. And so there's a scale of legitimacy, and you can see very clearly, there's a reason why you were drafted where you were. There's a reason why you were picked, and viewed the way you were. So you're going to get less grace than a guy like Xavier Legette does.
Exactly.
But that's when you turn around and you look at it.
Let's be honest. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and this has been some of the discord that's been going around Twitter, from the Panthers Nation the last few days, is the odd situation of Jonathan Mingo. Look, I mean, what do we even do with him? How do you view him? He's going from what he was viewed to be your supposed number one or number two in the locker room, in the wideout room when he was drafted last year. You were hoping that was the case. Now he's fallen to not even in the top five.
Possibly being a cut.
Seriously.
People have really gotten into that.
But let's talk about that though. Let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about that, right? So I'm not gonna give up on Mingo
me neither.
right? If I can stick by Kelvin Benjamin's bum tail, and he's a Seminole, and I'm talking about that. If I can hold his hand through his pancake epidemic, I'm gonna give Jonathan Mingo another year. And the reason I say that is he was underneath the same BS that Bryce was under.
This is true.
Right?
Yeah.
There was no continuity for him. He was a work in progress. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? It wasn't like he was an Adam Thielen type of a player coming in with proven ground that we had something to work with.
No.
We kind of knew he was coming out of college as a work in progress. We just needed another big receiver, right? He wasn't known to be this splashy player, right? I don't think we would. I don't think we were going to. I don't think we thought we were getting DK Metcalf. And if we did,
we were hoping.
That tells you why Frank Wright got fired, right? That's why Frank Wright got fired if he thought that was DK Metcalf.
And why Scott Fitterer got fired.
Right. But I'm more intrigued with how Mingo is receptive to Canales' offense.
Yeah.
And how is he going to grow with the receiving room that he's got now? Because now the competition is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Last year it really wasn't crazy. Adam Thielen was on the field. Mingo knew he was going to play. Who else was going to go up against him? What's our boy name who probably still ain't seen the field? Marshall, who still ain't seen the field yet, right? So we got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to write him off just yet. Now, if he lays an egg roll this year, we can all sit down and talk about where we want to send him next year. I don't have a problem with that at all. Right? But I think we got to give him another year. Another
And
year in that. And then we just got
yeah, we do have to be fair. And like I said, there are physical tools that we think Mingo has that can make him a good receiver. And we think that if we can figure out where his niche is in this offense, and if any coach, and again, we've said this before, Canales being his background being wide receivers throughout his time as an assistant, it makes you feel a little bit more at ease about like, hey, he can maybe figure out what it is about this guy that can work. Now also with that being the case, I'm also not trying to give up on a guy like Terrace Marshall, for example. I'm not giving up because
wait a minute,
only because he's still there.
Wow.
Only because he's still there.
Wow,
only because he's still there.
I mean, yeah.
Wow. Hey Jack, check that water bottle. Check that water bottle.
Now don't do this because we just said we looking at the glass half full. Now what happened to the half full conversation? Now I ain't saying
we're not kicking anybody out of bed.
I'm not saying Terrace Marshall about to come around and be like wide receiver too.
He is. He's going to be. That's what you're saying right now.
I'm saying I want Terrace Marshall to just be a contributor to society at this point. Because, bro, me and bro got the same amount of stats. Honest to God. Hey, you let me go out there and get like a Make-A-Wish touchdown, and then we got the same amount of touchdowns for our career.
Let me ask you a question. Though. So Shantice, you posed that up. So let me ask you this. If at the end of the day, we're sitting second to last cuts, and you're sitting there, you got Jonathan Mingo, you got Marshall, Jackson's going to make it, Thielen is good. Who's the other receiver that I'm thinking of? Marset. You got those three, but you can keep two. One got to go. Give me your two.
I can keep two and one got to go. All right. Well, Marset stays because he's got versatility on the roster in terms of being able to be a special teams guy. So that'll keep you on the roster. And the other guy, I would likely say Mingo in terms of the fact like I've seen him have some type of ability after the catch that I haven't seen Marshall have. Marshall's only seemed to be like a jump ball guy, but when you're not even great at that, I can't really, I can't make a roster spot for you just because, you know what I'm saying? Like, go play volleyball or something, my boy.
Jack, what about you?
It's interesting because I think that's what my main concern with Mingo is that he's going to get that same Terrace Marshall treatment where I'm not even sure if there's a chance he doesn't even get the ability to show that he's still allowed to be a contributing factor for this team because while I think that Canales is a much better delegator than Matt Rule or Frank Reich ever were because they just wrote him off and never even gave him a chance on the field. You look at, like you said, his background in wide receivers, and not only that, but the systems that he had been a part of that were successful. The Seahawks were running multiple wide receiver sets, 3-4 receiver sets, and getting consistent success with it. And even, in Tampa Bay, not only before he got there, but afterwards, I mean, you're talking about a team that was running, they were running Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Chris Godwin, continuously, and, making sure they were, and all of them were getting consistent touches for the most part. So I think, unfortunately, it comes down to, versatility and what you're getting from them. Because when you look at Mingo, his whole thing was, his big body presence, his, red zone threat ability, and his, ability to kind of go up for the ball, those contested catches. Well, I mean, we just listed Xavier Legette's entire, back of his playing card. So you're just getting a kind of carbon copy in Jonathan Mingo that is less, it has done less to prove himself and is, older, different situation. So I think that, but then also so does Terrace Marshall. I think, to be completely honest, your top four are Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, and then Amir Smith-Marset. I really think those are your top four in terms of how, because especially the way that Canales has been talking about Amir Smith-Marset and his versatility as well. I think Amir Smith-Marset takes that kind of usage that we wanted Laviska Shenault to have. But, when you look at Terrace Marshall and Jonathan Mingo, I mean, if it comes down to the two of them and Terrace Marshall has a great camp, I could see Marshall getting the spot over Jonathan Mingo. I really could.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's a real debate. So when people were bringing up Mingo possibly being on the out, I'm like, it ain't too far fetched because we already drafted your replacement. Legette's your
Oh yeah. No,
Legette's your
yeah.
direct competition.
Yeah.
You already moved down
You
a
have.
spot, like because first round pick, yeah, he's gonna get the nod over you no matter what happens.
Here, here's
Um,
what I would say to that though. Here's what I say to that. I would say the only way Mingo truly does not make it, to be quite frank, is if Marshall shows up and shows out and shuts up and he becomes the player we thought he was going to become. Because otherwise, what else? Why is he here?
Right.
Otherwise, why is he? He's been. How long has he been here now? This is what, year 5,
It's
year
four
6.
for him. It's year 4.
Yeah,
For Marshall.
yeah, exactly. And he's had. I'm not going to say he's had a good run, but he's had equal opportunity to come and show what he has. Because a true professional is a true professional, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's also like, what does the coaching staff feel about each guy? I think it was telling that Marshall didn't get the boot this offseason. I think because that could have happened. I think I think it was a matter of they're just gonna see like, who can outcompete who. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, we've already heard about what they feel about Amir Smith-Marset. They already like his versatility, and I think they're gonna give him an expanded role in the receiving room. He's gonna have a real opportunity to be able to prove, which he didn't get a chance to do last year. We didn't think he got a legitimate shot to really be a receiver. So if that's gonna happen, based off of based off of the physical tools that each of them have, then I like Smith Marset's skill set more than I like Mingo and Marshall. So that does leave you, it does leave you at the 5th spot, being like, oh damn, who's the odd man out?
Oh, we also got David Moore. From the
I forgot about David Moore.
Seahawks. We got David
Yeah.
Moore too.
Yeah, I look at him and Rashad Penny as like the same type of like they may just be like fillers until we get like deep in the camp and they make it acts. I don't know how to feel about any of those guys just yet. Have you seen the guy Jalen Coker everybody's been talking about? The kid from Holy Cross.
No, I haven't seen him yet.
Oh man, well Panthers Nation. We every year we find us one undrafted free agent that we fall in love with, that people want to champion to be one of those guys. And the kid, I watched his tape. I saw Steve Smith do a breakdown of him first. That's the first time I ever saw him, when Steve Smith did a breakdown of him. And then you watch some of his tape. Realistically, I mean, the practice squad is very realistic for him. I couldn't see anything other than that. Like I don't know how people see the receiver room as is, and we're saying we got a current 2nd round pick from last year that may be on the brink of not making the roster, and think all of a sudden, little homie from Holy Cross, and I'm rooting for him, but little homie from Holy Cross going all of a sudden get a roster spot.
Well, I mean, listen. If the dude from Holy Cross could be my Wes Welker, I'm with it. If he could come in and be my Julian Edelman, I'm good with that. We need one of those. We need a Cooper Cup. We need a Cooper Cup. I'll take one. one.
You're absolutely right. I just think if we get to the point where we got to play Jalen Coker, something's going terribly wrong. Boy, did something go wrong, man. Like, and honestly, I promise you, by the time we're playing Jalen Coker, guess what I'm gonna not be doing? Watching these games.
He's like Charleston Rambo, or he's like the different those little The
Omar
OTA
Bayless from Arkansas State a few years ago, like he was a guy that everybody loved.
Who was it last year? Greg Jennings. Or
It was
Jennings.
Gary Jennings. Yeah,
you have the camp darlings that you've got, that consistently it catches people's eye. He's gotten a lot of hype, and I think the Steve Smith thing definitely helped. And he's also got that kind of different versatility that I do kind of like in terms of his route running ability. And I think that you look at the staples of the offenses that Canales was running. You've got your big body target for the most part half the time. Outside of the pre DK Metcalf years where they were rolling with Doug Baldwin and Ty Lockett, I think, because if you want your comparisons for that, you've got like your Deontay Johnson and your Adam Thielen could run those same kind of roles in the Doug Baldwin Adam Thielen kind of duo. Then you get your Xavier Legette who can run the DK Metcalf kind of operation. Adam Thielen's got the same. You're looking at that. The thing I feel like is kind of missing is that, but I guess he could also kind of go with like Deontay Johnson to Chris Godwin. You look at the kind of offensive schemes that he's running and the guys that he likes and how he likes to utilize them. And that's where I think you just have your issues of all three of them in Xavier Legette, Jonathan Mingo, and Terrace Marshall. Like you're not going to keep 3 guys like that on the roster. It's not going to happen. I mean, now if there's anybody that's going to keep a lot of wide receivers on the roster, and thin out some other positions, I could see it. I could see Canales doing that. I think he's going to do it with the running back room as well. I think he could be running in with a 4-person running back room for a good majority of the year.
So who do we think gets the boot out of the running back room? Because clearly somebody's on the way out. I mean, Raheem Blackshear would be the first person because it's the cheapest person to get rid of.
Yeah, I think that, unfortunately, that's who it's going to come down to. Because, I mean, they're going to keep Penny on just for, durability and just kind of familiarity, I'd say.
I
don't know, Jack. Jack, I don't know about Penny. Penny's been injured. I think.
Oh no, I know. I'm
Penny's
saying like
longer than 2. Penny's gonna have to come in to prove. So if you're talking a 4 running back room, I mean Blackshear may end up squeaking out again over Penny.
I could see it. I could absolutely see it happening. I mean, Blackshear's been serviceable for a while there.
just think he just didn't last year. He just didn't get any opportunity.
No.
Which was crazy to me considering like I thought he played himself into opportunities the year before, under those last few weeks under Steve Wilkes, but for some reason didn't get any looks.
Well, there's a lot of guys that played into their opportunities in those last few weeks with Steve Wilkes that it didn't get rectified the next year around, including the main running back in that room. Like I think that ideally, I think it's going to come down to not who gets cut, but I think they're going to try to shop somebody off from that room. I really do.
I mean, I think we're all assuming Miles Sanders is
no one's
going to
eat
be
that contract.
Not now.
No.
Not now.
Yeah.
They'll wait until after we paid them for like 6-7 weeks, and then all right, we'll take the rest of it.
Yeah.
But that's about all I could really think of, man. Like I mean,
I think, or then the other thing I think could absolutely happen, and it would suck because he's played so well and the roles that he's been asked to do. I think, unfortunately, your best bet in terms of shopping a person out is Chuba Hubbard. He's coming up on his rookie contract at the end of it. If he goes out and has a baller 6-7 weeks in the running back room, I see him getting shipped out. I really do.
That's not crazy. That's not a crazy thought. I mean, if we're not a playoff team, we're not competing for anything, and like you said, there's somebody's calling with real capital, like, hey, like, man, here's some picks.
I could see him getting the Tony Pollard kind of treatment, like if he could get that darling second running back in the room, because like we said, ideally Jonathan Brooks should not need to touch the field early on.
No.
He really shouldn't. Whether we want him to or not, he really shouldn't. I think Miles Sanders is going to get the starting gig and struggle, which is funny because a lot of people are projecting him to be like the second or third running back. I just really don't see them running. I mean, Brooks hasn't even dressed out yet. We don't even know if he's going to be okay, but ready by training camp.
Yeah, I'm just not banking on Brooks at all.
I would expect Chuba to be.
Yeah,
And but then they're putting Brooks at number 2 and then sitting Sanders at number 3.
When do they think Brooks is going to play? Realistically, when do they think Brooks is going to be ready to go?
That's what I'm saying. When does the Panthers?
Or what is the media thing? I guess the people that
I don't know, and I guess because it was like we said, it wasn't a full tear, and it was in December. I guess they think that I think Aaron Rodgers has done everybody dirty in terms of their timeline of.
Unless they got the super soldier serum.
That's what I'm saying.
For that
He's
boy.
not ready.
He's not playing.
But they're already listing him in the depth chart as RB number 2, and so right. I think realistically Miles Sanders takes the starting role. Just because I think as far as cohesion goes, not trying to change up around too much and just making sure you have that presence kind of situated. But then I really could see then Chuba obviously being the de facto actual number 1, getting the majority of the runs, getting the majority of the touches. He has a good 6, 7, 8 weeks, and I could see someone coming and calling. And I just, with the way the room is, with the lack of versatility and the desire for anybody else, I think you have to shop Chuba at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. You want to have a rookie running back on a rookie deal. You know what I'm saying? You then get rid of the Miles Sanders contract in this following off season. I believe so, right?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. He's in 2 of 4 years.
Oh my! What the hell?
We signed him for 4 years.
Oh damn! We was on.
Yeah, we knew that contract was going to, and so that's the thing is that maybe you can get somebody to eat the last 2 years of his contract, but you aren't going to get anybody to eat 3. You get somebody get onto Chuba's contract before the rookie contract goes up, because I think that's why you draft a guy like Jonathan Brooks. If you're I don't think you draft Jonathan Brooks if you're not trying to overhaul the running back room, in my opinion.
See, but I would think that, especially considering that the deal that Sanders got a couple years ago was like one of the most expensive running back deals at that time. See, how much do we? I mean, I guess we would have to see how well Chuba would perform, but how much do we think Chuba would realistically be getting paid if it came down to us having to give him a contract?
I don't think Chuba would break the bank. That's why I think it would be hard. That's why I think it would be hard to say that you would shop him. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think there is a full overhaul of that running back room. If I'm looking at it realistically, right? We're stuck with Miles Sanders. It's a bad marriage. That's fine. We've been there before with Marty Harney. But we'll make it do what it has to do. Chuba, I think we could sign him for a discount, right? And then you got Jonathan Brooks coming in on his rookie. On the backside of that, you got Blackshear and Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny's going to take, I forgot what we signed him for, but I don't think we signed him for much money at all. He's
aptly named.
Yeah, he's a proven vet. Yeah, he's a proven vet. Familiarity with Canales and crew. So there's a lot of things that I think that we could do. I think you would probably see, quite honestly, Blackshear get shifted to the practice squad. You'll probably you'll probably have Rashad Penny probably let him go at the end of training camp if you think you've got all your pieces in place. Because everything that I've read about Jonathan Brooks, he's already running. He's getting ready to start cutting. I mean, he may be ready come week 4. You got to think he's been out since. He's been out since November.
Like I said, that is very much true. I guess, it's one of those things where I think we're trying to be just putting a break.
Think about science now. Think about science now, right? You can legitimately get your knee scoped and be on the football field in 2 weeks now.
Are we talking about real science or Aaron Rodgers science? Because there's a difference.
No, I'm talking about real science. Like, yeah, how many people that got their knee scoped and been in the game in 2 weeks?
Hey, here's the thing though. There's real science and there's sports science, and that's
this is also
sports science. It's totally different monster. Like you said, he could very well be on the field. I don't think they're gonna rush him back. Is the thing.
No, I don't think they're gonna. But they don't have to. Though. That's the point.
Exactly. I mean, they do have. This is again. I think a lot of what's going to happen with Carolina is we're going to see a few more signings. If I had to predict anything, we're going to see some more signings happen during as we get closer to the training camp and once we get into training camp, because there's going to be some guys like a Justin Houston, like how last year went.
Deion Jones, Justin Houston.
Those types of those guys are still going to be signing deals. You'll see some more help into that cornerback room. I think you'll see more help into that edge rusher room. I think the offense is pretty much solidified in terms of what they're gonna roll with for now. Until injuries happen and guys just don't perform, I think we won't see any more changes with the offense.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, and I think we won't know much about the running back room until we gotta get a little bit of ways through camp, and then camp is not even gonna really be a great telltale sign because all right, well, how much of you guys these guys don't hit nearly as much anymore. We don't even.
We could, at least me personally being out there, I was questioning Miles Sanders from the jump. The minute.
That's because he wasn't practicing, though, right?
No, he was, though.
Oh, he was?
Oh. He wasn't, and then when he was, it was not good. And he was not running with the ones either half the time. And so, he wasn't, he didn't practice, I think, that all through OTAs. It was the first day or two of training camp, he didn't even see the field, and I was like, all right, that's concerning. And then when he was on the field, it was not great. So, you could honestly get a little bit of a view of the running back room pretty early on. That was probably the only one where, and of course it's going to be different with a different coaching staff. That was about the only room that I had my head on my shoulders for through training camp. Everybody else, I was like, I don't know what to think. I'm not thinking necessarily negative things, but also I'm not, blown away. I think the thing for the defense is, you can do, and it's shown the last few years, is that you can sign anybody you want. You can sign all these guys that you want to and try to plug and play these different defenders the way you think you can. Clearly, injuries are an issue, and they've been an issue. For me, for Rivero, I want to see you run your system no matter who's out there, because I feel like he's been running his system based off who's out there. I feel like Shaq went down and he started to alter his system a little bit to adhere to that, change up the way that he was running that scheme. And then, Burns wasn't able to give his 100%. I feel like he and then when Haynes went down as well, you saw nothing coming off the edges anymore at all. And I was like, all right, if that's the system you want to run, Like, you got to try to run it no matter what. And so that's where my thing is like, you sign whoever you want, but stop adhering your system to who you have on the field. Obviously, there's something to be said about, like, adjustments to be made, but establish your philosophy and then make the players follow suit.
Absolutely. I mean, and, his unit was the better performing unit last year of the two. Just by mere proxy that the offense was awful.
Yeah. I mean, because if you're being really honest about it,
Special teams was better than offense.
if you're being really honest about it, though, if the offensive unit had put up 14 points a game, I think you're looking at them going, okay, they're the better performing unit right now. I really do think that.
Damn, 14 points a game was all it took.
We lost.
Yeah.
We lost 7 to 8 games, I think, last year. Our offensive average throughout the season last year was 11.5 points a game. That was our average for the entire year.
And the two games we won, we scored a total of 24 points.
And none of those points, except I think for one of them, were a touchdown. We didn't score a single touchdown in either of the wins, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so that plays into my point of saying, like, he did coach the unit last year. And I'm saying that there were a lot of games that we can go through a lot more games where it's like Chicago, for example. Like, hey, why can we beat Chicago? It wasn't, the defense didn't play terrible. Like, they didn't necessarily play great.
Yeah.
Shut down DJ Moore, which at that point was the only offensive weapon you had.
Yeah.
There was no Justin Fields. Now, why didn't you win that game? I mean, there's a lot of games where I'm like, hey, the defense wasn't really at fault. I may have to give a little bit more trust and leeway to Evero and saying, like, hey, like, because I think we've been a little critical of the guys he's picked. One, because D.A. Johnson that's pretty much the one that kind of.
He couldn't even make it out of training camp.
Yeah, like.
With Shantice, I'm gonna say this, and you guys can either back me up or we can have a discussion. We are notorious for playing down to our opponents. We don't come in the game to win. We haven't been a team, except for 2015, that came in to really whip your butt. We come in and we play down to our particular opponent. Just like we went to Kansas City, we weren't supposed to be in that game, but we played up to our opponent at that point, right? So when we play against the Browns, we play just like the Browns. When we play against the Vikings, we play just like the Vikings.
Well, I think it's because we're also.
We give up the.
I think it's because we're an average team. I think that's like the average. The averages in the NFL just kind of all work out. Like any other year, I can say, like, the only year that we ever played above like at our level was when Cam and Luke and TD and all those guys were there. But that's like the one great.
And if we're
like,
being really honest about it and critical, we played down to a lot of the teams we played that year in 2015 as well.
He's won a lot of games.
We did, but like if you look, they were close wins at the end of the season. There,
I think people forget like how hard it is to win in the NFL.
It absolutely is.
Like I think like it's hard. Like it's a very thin line between being like 2-15 and then being all of a sudden like 7-10.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot. Like we can pinpoint at least 5-6 games where we're like, damn, could have got that. Tennessee could have got it. Chicago could have got it. That's 4, right? That's 4 wins total right there. And I'm pretty sure we can go through and name some more where it's like, man, we ain't that far away from being just an average team. And I think that's typically what happens. I think you either bottom out or you're just average for the most part. And then you have those years where, oh, all right, yeah, you're 11-6 one year, or you're 12-5. And that's just where we've been historically. I just think we're just an average to below average franchise.
But see, I think we're taking it a step too far ahead already. I think we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. I'm not even, honest to God, trying to win games. I want to score in the first freaking quarter. We are the first team in Super Bowl era history to not score a single point. A touchdown. We're not to score a single touchdown in the first quarter all season long. We did not score a first quarter touchdown at all. And we were the first team in Super Bowl history to win games and not be leading at any point throughout the season. We were never leading in any game. And in the games we won, we weren't leading going into the fourth quarter.
Bad team.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we had the number 1 pick that we gave away. That's why we gave the number 1 pick. Listen, last year basically was exemplary of all of the ailments we failed over time to address. It's kind of like getting sick and not taking care of the disease that got you sick. You just keep trying to give it a little ginger ale. I'm gonna give you a little Robitussin, or I'm gonna give you a little vitamin C, and then you get better for a little bit, but ultimately you're still sick. Those ailments we had were way back when we let Cam go, and we never cured ourselves of letting them go too early. We never cured ourselves of losing Luke the way we lost Luke. And then we had to try to make it better by saying, okay, we need to start over. And then you start ripping away all these key pieces, but then you backfill them with BS, right? I mean, we had no coach. Coach was whack. The culture was whack. He talked a big game but showed us nothing and messed us franchise up for another 4 years with all the decisions he made.
Hey, man.
So last year was the culmination of that. That was the example. That was the result of all of that. Now, Frank Wright wasn't none of our picks. All you did there was add more fuel to the sickness. You just gave him COVID-20. That's all you did. You didn't do anything better. You just gave him another version of COVID. You know what I'm saying? And now, hopefully, this new penicillin of a Dave Canales and Dan Morgan, to me, feels like we finally gonna have our remedy. But again, cautiously optimistic of what we got going on. What we have to stop doing is saying we have to stop comparing our franchise to franchises who have considerably have longevity at being able to progress. We're not that franchise. We're like the Falcons were in the 80s, right? The Falcons were never that good. They just kind of hobbled along.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think like the Falcons were playing football in the 80s because like I don't
think of them before my.
I don't think of the Falcons until Dion.
Oh, I didn't go that far. Beyond. I didn't go that far.
Yeah,
but you get what I'm saying.
I didn't go that far.
But you get what I'm saying. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like we don't have, we're finally starting to cure ourselves, and I'm hoping that this new shot that we gave ourselves in the arm is going to be the shot that we've needed since we messed up with Cam.
Bro.
I'm gonna be 100% honest.
This is our EpiPen, bro. This is our version of the EpiPen, bro. This is when you've been out. You know what I'm saying? Like you drunk, right?
That's just
Your stomach already messed up, but you still can't get right, man. You know what you need? You need some water. Get that out you. Get it out your system. You know what I'm saying? Clean yourself out.
I think the EpiPen was a better analogy because then you still can't just use that and that be it. You gotta get yourself to the hospital. You gotta still go get your shit
you're still
changed
not
up.
done once you get the water.
No.
Now you need ginger ale and the crackers, bro. You gotta settle down, right? Get that stomach settled.
Like we don't have the luxury of legacy. We don't. We don't have that luxury to fall onto, and so you got to kind of create that own legacy, which can be freeing, but then you've got kind of like you said, none of that culture to kind of back yourself up on because Tepper came in thinking he could just kind of plug and play, and Lord knows how that worked out. So I think that if Canales can come in, establish his chemistry, establish his mindset, and have that filter into what is already existing there, and having Avero still stick around, I think is going to be a lot more of a advantage than it looks like right now. But I think the biggest thing is just going to continue to see like making consistent steps forward, not shooting for the moon. They're doing the blueprint again, and I swear to God, if they go through the blueprint and talk about how they're shooting for the playoffs again, I'm going to freaking blow up their social media team with comments and be like, hey, stop it. Take it down. Don't do it.
Don't piss me off with this shit.
Don't do it. Don't do it. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear nothing in these blueprints. Literally better be building blocks. That's what I want to see. So you take it one step at a time and just that consistent and over a long period of time positive progression. We kept waiting last year like, all right, once it plugs in, it's going to be like night and day. Once it switches up, it's going to be completely, and it never happened. And we just literally kept waiting for it all season long. So instead, see that consistent improvement over OTAs, minicamp, training camp, preseason, into the regular season. And that's it. But until then, we got to keep waiting and keep pounding.